that group.
Yeah, and I just got to keep refreshing it, though. There was a certain match that we had selected, and I don't know if we're ready to start talking about that yet.
I believe it's been called.
So where did it go?
It's in B9.
B9, that is right. It was, it's A2P. Yeah. Well, while we're looking for that, I guess there is still some... Oh, there it is. It's up on stage. We got it already. Okay, Magic. Macaxeira.
Macaxeira?
Macaxeira. There's a song to it. These guys played in Friday Night Frenzy season number 3, and it took us forever to pronounce it correctly. Macaxeira. Going up against a team that needs no introduction. One of the oldest teams in Splatoon 2, Assault and Pepper. These guys won Low Ink back in 2019, 3 years ago, and still are ticking around, have been at pretty much every land that I can think of. Maybe short of Genesis 7, but have definitely been at Riptide, Low Tide City. So a team that has been around for a long time, doesn't really need much recognition there. But Macaxeira has been coming onto the scene starting last Ludi season, have been playing really well. I believe this is you remember that Rising Stars team from I want to say October. This is not the same thing, but there's still some players from that you and I commentated a long time ago. But Macaxeira has been extremely impressive ever since then. After they got criminally underseeded in Ludi because we didn't know who they were because they changed their name right before the season started. But we know who they are now, and this should be, on paper, a really close matchup.
This is going to be quite the set. And we want you talk about the legacy of Splatoon 2, and this is a team that has grown a legacy of their own, right? Assault and Pepper, a namesake team. I know everybody knows this team. Everybody who's anybody knows this team. And at least they've heard of the name. They've heard of the players. 17 Rats, man. How could you forget that? And once you play them in solo, right?
That's Neebles, right?
Yeah.
The brush player? Yes. And now here's the question. I want to know if Jeff is playing or not. Jeff's a really strong player. The first time, you're talking about how long these guys have been around. I keep track of everything my team has done in a little notebook. The first time my team played A2P was in Coast to Coast number 2.
In SAC Season 0?
This is Season 1, I believe.
Okay.
This was July 20th,
right, okay, yeah. That's when Coast to Coast was introduced.
Those guys. Yeah. So that was, it's just, and it's, it's good. We talked, again, pickups are great, but when you've been a name brand team that's been around for so long, it's easy for us to commentate because we can talk about the history, and that's what the audience likes to know. They like to know history of certain players and certain teams. And quite honestly, I don't think A2P has had much of a roster changeover at all. Maybe a player dropped here or there. I think King played for them at one point. I mean, obviously JPEG a couple of years ago. But this, Soren, Jeff Payne, or maybe, no, that's the... Payne might be a new addition, but Soren, Jeff, and 17 Rats have been a part of this thing for a long, long time.
Right.
But Macaxeira has been a pretty strong team as well as the channel points. Hey, you guys were pretty off with the channel points in the last set, but I guess you guys are more than happy to be that.
I mean, hey, new blood is always hungry, right? They are ready to do this. And especially Google Lima assists a crazy Charger player. That Charger hits shots that I've never seen hit by the majority of other players. Great, they can do awesome things, and they are young and they are ready to go. So I'm excited to see if they can do this.
Is this, they had a tent player. I know Neko, I can't think if Neko was the Nautilus or the tent, Neko Mata there. But they do have the capability to use tent at some point with the roster that they have. They can use Nautilus. They also have a junior player mixed in there somewhere as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's they can go a little bit quote unquote off meta with the things that they do. And I believe that is a South American team as well.
Yes.
Macaxeira. So might be one of the first South American teams we've had on stream so far today, which is good to see. Good to cover all the regions to some extent here. But I'm expecting, I don't care what you guys predicted, I'm expecting this one to be a little bit closer, at least on paper it should be. And hey, shout out to A2P for having all the most of their pronouns up there. That's pretty cool as well.
Let's go.
Another nice feature of Smash.
Put your pronouns in Smash GG. Start GG, whatever. It's the same thing. The links go to the same place. Anyways, it is cool.
Pain was on Pure Divinity. Like, that's the Pain I played with at Low Tide City, right? Like, there's only one Pain in this community.
Yes.
So Splash-O-Matic, very strong player, especially on that Low Tide City team, Nonfiction. Pain did not get enough credit for how well Nonfiction played in that tournament. It was a lot to do with the insane splash play that Pain has, formerly of Pure Divinity, which was a really strong team in their own right. So that's a really great addition for A2P to have as well. So you're thinking like what? Like a pro, brush, splash, and then I guess you just got to mix in the armor somewhere.
Soren's usually on like K-Shot as well. And it does seem like they have... Is that Char? Is Char playing for Assault and Pepper
today? Yeah, yes. The Crustacean Crusader logo on there. So yeah, there's some dapples that are going to be showing up. You're right, Magic. That's who that is.
Gotcha. So, Char's a dually player, previously of Crustacean Crusaders.
And Pain's not in there. It's Jeff. So it's Soren, Jeff, 17 Rats, and Char coming out from the side of the Salt and Pepper. Moda, Asus, Tadashi, and Guga Lima coming out from the side of Macaxeira. So yeah, no Pain, but yes, you are right. You guys are gonna see some dapple action going on here, which might be hard to do at Manta Maria.
You're also gonna see some slosher play, especially here on TC Manta, where the verticality is really important. You can slosh up onto that bunker. You can slosh up onto top left, which is a really important place to hold and to get a hold of when you're trying to push. So I'm expecting Jeff to go slosher. They're already readying up. They've been ready to go for the set. It was taking a while. We're gonna see if South America can show up today. First time that we've had a team from there on stream, we think, and it's gonna be interesting to see if South America. They're in the picture now. They're one of the places that we have to think about when we're talking about international events because they are getting a lot stronger.
South America mid-level is the strongest mid-level region without question. There's no fat. It's all quality teams across the board there. So we do see some double armor comp coming out there with the Nautilus. So a lot for that Inkjet to work with as the Nautilus takes the approach into their own snipe, starting to push down there with their first wave of armor, and the second one instantly getting popped out. But this double armor doesn't result in anything. In fact, it's the Macaxeira that's taken the L so far in the opening round. Double armor, no splats with it.
And Char on that slot, on that Kensa Rapid, as well as Jeff on this Kensa Sloshing Machine, going to be able to put down a lot of chip damage and area of effect damage to make sure that people cannot hang around those corners, cannot hang around cover, and will get popped if they come close, and if they're in that set distance that they need to be. So this is going to be a really tough comp for Macaxeira to break through, but if they can use those armors effectively, if they can use that Inkjet and the missiles to displace everyone, they're going to do fine, but they need to make sure that they don't go down before all that happens, and it's exactly what ends up happening. Gugalima trying to trade out is going to be able to do so. To end up going down, they're going to have an armor ready to at least hold back the members of A2P from coming in like a blob, like a squad. And finally, the tower's starting to move. Jeff trying to splash down on this, and Popgun, I think that this is going to be a strong push for A2P, unless Gugalima can come up huge.
Oh, wow. You would no, there's a bomb right there, no! You would think that opening push they had where they basically got a wipe would have been a huge lead, but no, A2P couldn't even clear the first checkpoint. thanks to the heroics of the K from the 96 gal, who was able to get a triple here. But yeah, A2P's been able to get a lot of splats and a lot of assists, but it's not resulting in anything sustainable on the scoreboard just yet. Now it's a 2v2 situation, so you can't really do anything. Jeff being the last player left alive, and now it's just the Nautilus who stands alone. Basically a double wipe.
Yeah, they just double wiped.
So 3 minutes. Did we say this was going to be a bloodbath? It has been so far, but eventually somebody's going to have to clear a checkpoint, you would imagine.
Eventually something's got to give, right? Like, eventually somebody's going to be able to stand on that tower for just a little bit longer than the other team. Like, that is going to be... They can't end on a 79 push. They can't end without breaking one checkpoint. Wambota trying to find something here, trying to put down the paint. Maybe an armor and an inkjet might do the trick, but an armor does come online for the members of A2P. 17 rats trying to fight off this inkjet, swatting it away, saying, you can't be there, go away, shooing it away. Finally, everybody's still standing left alive after all those specials go down. There goes 17 rats, and this tower is at least getting moved a tiny bit. But these bombs are so crucial for the members of A2P.
Hey, they might find a way to get lead here without crossing the checkpoint. That might be all you need in this kind of defensive game that we're seeing right now. You know, the Nautilus player for Macaxeira seems to be playing it more like a pseudo anchor, because they've been getting 9 armors in the first 3 minutes, but they haven't really been able to kind of capitalize to try to be too aggressive with it. So they seem more content with just kind of holding space and kind of holding that upper area, but Jeff's going to take care of that real quick, and now the bunker belongs to A2P. And if they can find a way to deal with this last player along the left side who seems to be baiting and somehow is not going down, eventually does, and 2 more players go down for Macaxeira as A2P's finally able to clear their first checkpoint with a minute 25 left on the clock.
You can tell that Soren wants to get off that tower and go to help the teammates, but needed to just trust that the brush and the rapid were able to get that pick, and they were, and is now going to result in them getting this second checkpoint, which is massive. Charo's going to be able to stall this out a little bit longer, get jumps in, make sure that this tower gets chugged on a little bit further, and having this stall here in the street is actually so important, especially at the end of this match, just making sure that they can't get this push going really soon and just bleeding that clock out, especially after they get this really nice push going. They're going to have the armor online, they're going to have the missiles ready pretty quickly. This is going to be a very tough push for Macaxeira, and it looks like it already is going south.
The awkward spot to pop the inkjet on the grates now is going to be effective, but only going to get a couple of shots off of it. As they're able to capture this first checkpoint. Now, the second one's going to be extremely difficult, especially if they're not going to find ways to get any splats, but they do take care of 17 rats, working around a lot of players up on that bunker, but nobody's guarding that left side. They do cancel Jeff's splashdown, but if they can't control that left side, as we see the last 2 A2P players over there on the rings area, they're not going to find a way to clear this checkpoint, especially with that blaster just being a nuisance. Finally gets taken down, and Jeff jumps in along that left side as well. 1v1 with the Nautilus, and now Jeff's the last player left alive. Can they do something here to stop this push as it goes into overtime? And they don't really have an answer for this splashdowning for some reason. Will that cost them the game? It won't.
Wait, what? Tadashi! I can't believe how crazy they went right at the end, but somehow, some way, 17 Rats gets on the tower and is able to just dance around for a little bit longer, and A2P, once again, on tower control, Manta Maria swipes away a game from right underneath them. Holy cow, I can't believe it, because they were positioned well. They were not positioned well for that last push. There were 2 of them sitting in street and 2 of them sitting on the ramps coming up towards that street area. They didn't look like they had any kind of positioning to hold that back, and it almost lost them the game. That was crazy.
You know, I was racking my brain thinking, why did Jeff use that splashdown right there? But it's probably because they were out of ink and they just needed a refuel. Because I'm thinking, oh, you can't stop. You got to keep firing. You're the only one left alive. But they had to do that splashdown, probably for the ink refill. But while Jeff doing a good enough job getting all those splats, won a lot of 1v1s on that left side there and just keeping the enemy off the tower just long enough for the rest of the teammates to spawn back in and stop them out there. But still, a lot of I didn't get to see the final, but there was a ton of armors popped by Macaxeira. if they can find ways to get their Slayers a little bit more involved into the action, it seemed like they couldn't really find ways to get out of their own snipe or their own bunker area and start pushing up with the armors that they have, then they're going to be just fine in this set. But Jeff definitely feasted in that game. Jeff is just a strong player. If you let the game go on long enough without getting that lead early or establishing yourself at some point, you're just giving that player more and more time that they need to start popping off, which Jeff finally did at the end there.
A good game, a great game, and it was very back and forth for the entirety of that. And right at the end, we finally got the extent of those pushes and the extent of the aggression that they were kind of tiptoeing around, waiting for their moment, and each team did, but barely. A2P had the just more solid defense, and Tadashi got a little bit too crazy, a little bit too caught up in getting those picks, and ended up not protecting the tower at the right time. Unfortunately, this is Rainmaker, and it's going to go a lot quicker. And if I know anything, A2P knows a lot about this map mode, and they are ready to play this one's heart out. Jeff getting a nice pick here on the slosher, using that high ground to its advantage, and he, with the bomb rush, is going to be able to slosh over this and make sure that people are not standing over there in that rocks area trying to get this pick on Google Lima. There goes Soren. They already got 2 people up on that plat area, and Jeff is going around the other way. What did I say about this being fast? This is going at Mach speed. The splashdown is going to come in, try and pop that Rainmaker. Wait a minute, no, the 17 rats is all the way up the base.
You can't fall down right there, and now A2P's in a great position to almost in a great position to get the KO. Soren being the last player left alive, and it's still there. Ultimately, okay, they're able to find it and take care of it. Still, oh my goodness, A2P. By the way, they got 5 bombs. That is a double bomb comp on that brush. I saw the build they had coming out there, so they're going to be able to pop this Rainmaker extremely easily when they want to, and there's a lot of time on this clock, and we know how Rainmaker works out, but A2P, they know how to put points up on the board, and they know how to continue to be aggressive with it. So they'll kind of take this lowest approach that we're used to seeing, defense by offense, keep the Rainmaker on the enemy side of the map.
Right, I mean, like, that's the thing, right, is that if you don't want that Rainmaker to come in super fast, you need to make sure that there's enough distance for them to travel so that they can't come in that fast. As Booyah able to slow down that Rainmaker and put a lot of distance between the Rainmaker and where it wants to go. Char doing a great job here on this Cape Road, trying to just dance around, throw some bombs, let Jeff go in and have some fun. There goes Google Lima trying to fight around this block on the mid area. Only one of them going down. They're going to be able to at least defend this if A2P wants to try and come in. They've got the specials online to return to them. While Mota, though, is going to get shredded by those missiles. Jeff ends up going down as well. This is looking like it's A2P's game still all the way.
And it's the missiles and the combination of all the bombs that they have. There's just nowhere to go once you get missiled because you're constantly dodging other things as well. And again, all these trades just kind of coming out here. Macaxeira having a lot of difficulty establishing control and getting man advantage and locating all of these players. That's what's so frustrating about playing against a brush team, is that you got to locate that brush at all times, and if you can't find them, odds are they're behind you and it's already too late. So just look at all the pressure the team with the huge lead is applying onto the team that has to come back in 2 minutes right here.
And Needles does such a good job using those splashdowns aggressively and making sure that can't get hit. Jeff able to use the chip damage from the teammates to end up getting that Nautilus Inkjet down. And this is looking like it's going to be a lot of paint on the ground for Macaxeira, but A2P is able to hold it down and make sure that they can shark out in those areas and deny them that area that they wanted. This is looking like it's going to be a good push, but that Ray doing work on A2P.
And you know where the Rainmaker is? You can kind of push it along that left side, but a lot of times teams just get hyper fixated on pushing it to the right. But going the left's a pretty good route as well. If you can get the enemy team focused on the wrong side of the map, you get a ton of points going there. But obviously, able to take care of 17 rats, sharking around in mid, trying to look for an opening to go through, and they got a long distance they got to go. But if they can find a way to get several splats right here, there is a window, but I don't know if it's big enough for them to slip past and get the lead. The Nautilus player does go down, as well as the K-Shot, and now you're just kind of stuck in no man's land with nobody really to help you except for your C-Jet. Wait, never mind. You are the C-Jet. Your help is all gone. 45 seconds left to go. Nowhere really to go on that push.
it looked like they had the opening there too, but like, A2P did such a good job at just waiting up in the wings, making sure they get their specials down, making sure they throw down a lot of the paint, because like that, while that distance from elbow to the pedestal looks like it's a long way, Splatoon players, like Inklings, are fast, right? Like they can swim very fast, and that they can traverse that distance in probably 2 seconds if there's nothing stopping them, but they were able to put down enough to stop them. Fortunately, Soren is not looking, and Tadashi is able to stop them as they're trying to get this one ready. The missile's coming in. It's only 17 rats up, and Jeff is kindly on the respawn, trying to come up on this top right area, but the missiles are coming in. This paint is coming in. They need to get the specials ready. One ends up going down. They end up getting a trade. The Inkjet's coming online. They're trying to shove them away from this area. The Rainmaker ends up going down. That's another one for A2P. That's going to be the set.
You see all the kind of pieces lining up, all of the dominoes just lining up, but then a stray bomb, again, so many bombs, just one slip past takes care of the Rainmaker, game over. And again, a couple of windows there for Macaxeira to slip through, but that's the difference between having a 30-point remaining lead and a 10-point remaining lead. If it was just 30 points, you might have just seen that Rainmaker YOLO it and just try to slip through everything and try to get lead. But when you know you have to get so far and you don't really think you got the bombs to pop the Rainmaker again if you were to die, like you can't do an extended push. You basically just got to hit a home run and go for it. That causes a lot of hesitation, that causes you to take less chances and just hope for somebody to make a miracle play, which that Inkjet at the end was in a great position to do, to try to get a double and just get a complete wipe in there, and Macaxeira could just walk to the lead. But just a little too much to overcome there. That lead, extending the lead like they did, is the reason why they were able to hold on at the end there, forcing Macaxeira to be more passive in their final push.
And that's so tough, right? Because they got shoved in quite early, right? Like that first push from A2P, and after that they were on the back foot every single time, and A2P knows how to play that game. They have, like we talked about, they have the history, they have the experience to know how to back up, to keep things steady, to make sure that they trade out in just the right way and put everything down before they can end up making that push where they're comfortable. And they do it every time. I mean, every single time they were able to do it. That's impressive. That's the mark of a good team.
And again, the ability to hold on to that game one is why they don't have to go to a game three. It looked like Macaxeira was going to escape with game one there, but instead, moving on is A2P. So what was? Are they 3-0 right now?
I think they're 3-0.